Hey, Team Race to Serve. Welcome to our team call. I'm so excited tonight because my sister Melissa is actually going to be leading us this evening in a productivity boost call. So whether you're a brand new coach or you've been here for a long time, what I can tell you is unless you build effective systems for your business, you're always going to feel like you're working harder, not smarter. And so I was just speaking to Melissa and Patrice recently about how my business hours are now every day from 6 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. and it's done. It's over. Even though I have a 12 to 3 block when Luca's napping, that's now like therapy sessions or household chores or discipleship calls. But I've really been able to manage my time so much better because of these systems that I've put in place. So Melissa's going to lead this whole call. Make sure you have pen, paper, or your notes app open. You're not going to want to miss these tips because this is as practical as it's going to get. So I'm going to make sure that she's the spotlight video for tonight. I'm going to let her go for it.
So weird.
Hey!
So first, I want to utilize the chat. So if you ever have like a question or you want me to repeat something, please let me know so that I can make sure to do that. And then second, none of this is from me. None of it. Like this is all from Summer Phoebus. If you don't know who Summer Phoebus is, she is incredible. She's all about systems and all about productivity. Plain and simple. She actually runs a productivity academy for She Works His Way, and someday I'm going to take that. Yes, the productivity princess. That's right. So if you are not familiar at all with She Works His Way, they're basically a ministry that helps women who are working or are entrepreneurs or just women in general just live out all of their callings rooted in Christ. They're really focused on business training that you can trust. And so this is basically one of the classes. They always do a class every week. And this is one of the classes that Summer did recently. And it's great. So I'm essentially going to literally give you the class that she taught without the beautiful face of Summer Phoebus. So there are 3 things about systems that we're going to talk about: why we want them, why they're useful, and then how we create one. And it's really general, so it's not like coaching specific or MLM specific. It's just general how we make sure that we're productive in all areas of business, even life. And then we can kind of like tweak it a little bit here and there to make it effective for our coaching business. So the first thing is that God calls us to be stewards of our time. So I'm like someone who loves to do budgeting, and I love to budget money. But I'm terrible at budgeting my time. And that's terrible because God does call us to be stewards in all areas of our life, including the minutes that we spend. So every day we really should be budgeting out our time and using it effectively, whether that's building systems to make sure that we're using it effectively or just surrendering our time over to God and making sure that we are using the time that we have to bless Him and glorify His name. So definition of systems. Systems are documented procedures and processes that allow your business to run without you, or better yet, for you. It's nice to have systems that work without you and for you. So the reason why we create systems. Number 1, there's 3 points. Number 1, consistency. Consistency teaches our clients and our customers to trust us, and trust turns into loyalty. It's often said that the most important piece of advertising that you can have is word of mouth. And so you can either have really positive word of mouth or you can have really negative word of mouth. And if we're not consistent in what we're offering, if we're not showing up every day, if we are not fulfilling our end of the promise, they're not going to trust us, and they're going to go ahead and tell other people not to trust us either. So we have to make sure that we're being consistent and that we are actually delivering what we tell people that we're going to do. She actually quoted Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee said, "Long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity." I think often in this business, we work really hard, really fast, and forget that that long-term piece is actually what brings us, let me just turn down the monitor here, what brings us the best, really, of our business. That's what really brings us the profit, as well as just creating a really good, essential foundation for us. The second reason why we need to create systems is for clarity. If we don't know where we're going with our business, then, or we have no way to get there. If we're constantly jumping around here and there and trying to flow it all together, it's not going to make sense. So she suggests starting from our end result, what we want it to be, whether it's a sale or we're just trying to open up a relationship, and work backwards to see what the steps are to get to that point. Then, this is like something that blew my mind that I didn't even think about. There is no system unless it's documented. So what she meant is we don't have a system unless it's written down. So if you walk into any kind of retail store, I don't know if any of you guys have worked at like a retail store or brick and mortar store, whatever, they have a whole binder full of systems. And so we should be creating the same thing for our businesses. Therefore, people can read it and know if we create a team, it can be duplicated. If we need someone to take over for us at some point, then we have that available for someone. So there is not a system for anything until it is documented procedure or process. Write it down. If you're the only one that knows what's going on, then the only one that will care. And that's true of our team. Like if we don't know what the end goal is, then then no one's going to care about it except for the person that's in charge. Like Karen, if she sees the vision, but she's not giving us the vision and how to get to that, then we're not going to be bought into that. But it also goes with relating it to our coaching business. If we don't have an end result for our clients, then they're not going to know what they're trying to walk toward either. So if we don't have a system in place, like you get started here, and these are the tools that I'm going to give you, and this is what a challenge group is going to look like, and this is how we're going to run it, they have no idea what they're walking toward. So again, another way that we can write it down, even if we're not giving our written thing to our client or future coaches that we have on our team, at least we have something that we can go off of to train others or to just give people an idea of what we expect. The third point is convenience. Systems simplify our life. I think we can all agree with that. Systems and knowing what to do and when to do it and why to do it simplify everything. They also help us to work smarter and not harder. Simple. Oh, there's 4 points to this. So the fourth point is that it creates cash flow. And I think it's important that we talk about that because money can be icky. And a lot of people do things in an icky way, but that's not what our team does. And we need to make sure that we're rooted in Christ. Money is not a bad thing. So we should never label it as a bad thing. It's how we either love it or we get wrapped around it, or that's our only focus, that it becomes something bad. So it's our behavior that is with money that creates it to be bad. But if we're not being good stewards of our time, we're not creating systems, then we're not being good stewards of what God has given us, therefore not being good stewards of our money either. So if we are creating systems, that will help us to make more money and to be good stewards and to give more money and to do more things with it, which then ties into the parable of the talents, which we've talked a lot about, especially this past weekend, which I'm sure we'll go into again as we continue to just get all this narrow conference stuff out. But some questions that Summer brought up as far as finances is that we have to look through it with the She Works His Way lens. And a couple of questions she has under this, which is this opportunity a financial blessing or a burden? Because if it's a burden, then it's not of Christ. And then if there's a way to make more money by doing less or the same amount of work, why wouldn't we do it? So here are 2 reasons systems are created. One, so that we can replace ourselves. That's the whole point of our coaching business, is to continue to reach more people with adding coaches on and continue to reach out more. So we need to be able to figure out a way to duplicate ourselves. And if we have no idea if we haven't written it down ever, then we're not going to be able to do it. Good leaders replace themselves over and over and over. So if you are leading, someone should know what the next step is in the place of the process. Number 2, so that we can outsource and delegate. At some point, you are going to want someone to help you in your coaching business. You'll probably want to hire someone on to do some things for you. And if you don't know your own system, then you can't delegate well. Or you might need the help of someone. And if you don't know your system, you can't ask for help. So if you're willing to share the load, you're not willing to grow. If you're not willing to share the load, you're not willing to grow. Exceptional leaders don't have to micromanage because there's a system in place. Micromanage the systems finder, not the person. So again, that goes back to writing down our systems. It's not to micromanage our people. It's so that we can understand our process, that we can look with a critical eye, we can micromanage that system, not the person. So now this gets to the nitty-gritty of things, which is actually setting up our systems. So this is I think it's a 5-step process that really you can use in any area of your life. So the first thing, you have to think about your business as 10 times larger than what it is right now, so that you can create an effective system to enable you to grow. So number 1, take an inventory of everything that you do on a repetitive basis for about a week. So write down everything. So for the next week, write down absolutely everything that you do for your coaching business. Everything. Don't leave anything out. That way you have an idea of what you're doing. Honestly, I have not done that. I'm 100% trying to figure out how to do a system myself. But if you write everything down, then you know where to begin. Then take that list of things and prioritize it. The first thing you want to prioritize it by is what has the most impact on your business. Most likely it has to do with taking care of your current clients as well as contacting people. So those are going to have the most impact on your business. Then you want to highlight the ones that you enjoy the least, the things that you like procrastinate to doing because you hate them so much. Set those things apart. They're very important. The next thing that you want to do is define what steps it takes to complete each task. So you've written out all of your tasks throughout the week, but there are little bits and pieces to each of those tasks that you have to do in order to complete them. So you have to take your task list and then go through each task and write down the tasks within it. So we're getting super detailed, and this is totally Summer Phoebus. And then just a quick reminder, because I know that once you start breaking down tasks, it starts to feel a little not fun. We just have to remember that the end goal here is freedom, and freedom comes by way of systems. If you have systems, you will feel a little bit more free in your business. You won't have junk up in your head because it's all down on paper. So number 4, once you have written your task list, then you've broken down each step within those tasks. Now we're going to decide what we want to automate, delegate, or what she calls batch automate. Or batch. So automate, this is what you would typically like to automate. Just some ideas. It's not necessarily what you would do, but just to get some ideas to start thinking. Canned email responses. Schedule emails to go out automatically, or schedule social media. So I know that this is something that's really simple to do with coaching. So if you have someone who's filled out a form, you get sent that form, you could potentially have an automated email then sent out to that person saying, thank you, I received your form. I will be sure to look at it within the next few hours or maybe 24 hours and get back to you. Simple, something that you won't have to do because it'll automatically happen for you. Then there are actually businesses that have continued scheduled emails, and I don't know if we'll ever get to that point, but if you do, there's a way to actually automatically send emails out whenever you receive something, even to continue a discussion. And then, of course, scheduling all of our social media. I know that this is something that Karen has tried to instill in us often, is that the best way to make your week run really well is to schedule out your social media ahead of time. So if that's posts, and if you need more time to think through social media posts on your page, it's a good time to just sit down and make some of those posts. Or if you're running a group and you have devotional videos, do that over the weekend, schedule them all out, then you don't have to think about it. If you have fit tips that you want to put in, that's a good time to do that too. So schedule out all your fit tips for all your groups. That way it's done. You spend like an hour and you get that all done. You don't have to think about it for the rest of the week. You can focus more on the things that impact your business the most, reaching people. So the next thing is to delegate. And the best way to delegate is to barter. So there are some coaches that have actually like teamed up with nutritionists. I think that's a fantastic idea. Like if you don't really enjoy creating meal plans for people or those kinds of like maybe lists of nutrition, maybe they're not doing 2B mindset or they don't have a good idea of how to create that. Or if you want to like start a group that has a whole 3 weeks full of just meals set in place, that's a really good way to start, is to barter with a nutritionist. Say, hey, I have a great idea. I would like to bring you some more clients. I have a way that we can do it. We can both benefit from this. But if you don't have a good system in place, then you don't know how to delegate. You have nothing to delegate. There's also the opportunity that eventually down the road you hire someone to be like an admin assistant to you, helping to create some maybe graphics for your business. Again, you don't know what you need until you have a system. And then the last thing is to batch things together. So that's basically just grouping a bunch of tasks that you do together at the same time, so that you're not doing them like over and over and over again, but you batch them all together. So that means like, again, with forms, if someone sends you in a form, then you send out a quick email, then you follow up with another email. That's batching it together. Maybe someone decided to join as a coach. You want to make sure you get your welcome email out, and maybe your idea is to get your welcome email out as well as set up a little gift that you want to send to a coach or a client that's decided to join in your challenge group. So that's automate, delegate, and batch. And finally, the most important thing of this phone call is to set a deadline for yourself. So spend the week listing out all your tasks. Set a deadline of when you want to have your systems pulled together. Because if we don't have a deadline to do that, we're never going to do it, ever. Our attitude should be, if we can do more, better work for the kingdom, then we need to do it. That's it. Steward our time well with systems. So that is literally the whole entire class, all summed up as much as possible, because she spent literally 45 minutes going over it. So are there any like specific questions that I may be able to answer?
For me, it's so much confirmation. I can't even tell you right now. So let me tell you guys what's been happening in my life a little bit, just because this is so funny. So my sister-in-law has been doing some of my admin assisting for a while because she was looking for a job. And so I paid her $10 an hour and just had her doing some of our graphics for our team page and sending out, or just letting me know all the Beachbody leads I get every week. So when you hit certain ranks, Beachbody sends you customers. So now she has a full-time job, and I'm in a place in my business where I need more tasks, and she couldn't do it. So my purpose partner uses a girl, her name is Abby, who had been following me for a long time on social media. I got on a call with her last night, and I just wanted to hear what she does. I'm 3.5 years into my business. I can afford $10 per hour for an administrative assistant. And I was dying because I was like, you know what I need to do before I tell you what to do, Abby, is I need to look at my systems, because for me to delegate well to her, to give her her tasks, I need to just make sure that my systems are clear. I do have systems in place, right? I have Google Forms that prompt me to email somebody, that prompt me to call somebody, that we do a share a cart, then they're set up for our next Grace Camp. So I know I have systems in place for clients and coaches. If you look at our Team Race to Serve Facebook page, if you click that files section, we have a landing pages option. Guys, that gives you I have systems for you in the files section of our team page. So if you're wondering, like, Karen, how do I sign up a coach, or how do I sign up a challenger? My question for you is, have you looked at all of our resources in Team Race to Serve? Just because I have been trying as much as I can to help you duplicate the process. But it just made me smile tonight, because literally all week, That's what I'm doing. I'm not just tracking my systems, I'm tracking the systems of my system. So
Yes.
when I want to sign up somebody, there's still the share a cart, which means I still need their email to get their share a cart set up. And then from that, I need to get confirmation that they actually signed up. And then I can send them a welcome email. And then that prompts me to send them a welcome letter with their little Energize gift. There's a system in place. So I'm literally writing all this down to figure out what parts make sense to delegate. Like, it doesn't need my personal touch. It's not necessary for me to be a part of. And then what parts do I really need to do? So I really want to encourage you, because I believe all of you can hit a point where delegation is going to be helpful. Again, you're not going to know what to delegate without systems. So it just made me smile tonight, because I didn't realize I needed this call, but I really needed this call. So thank you.
Of course. I think it really can apply to so many different things, like even our house life. I have systems in place, but I went away this past weekend and I know all the systems, but my husband doesn't know all the systems. He doesn't know the plan. He doesn't know the schedule. But if I had generally written out, this is kind of what happens, then he knows what to do. It can run without me. I don't need to be there.
I think too, you're always going to fear growth with your business because you don't have systems.
Yeah.
So I remember being so annoyed in the beginning of my business because God just paced me so slow. And now I'm in a place of harvest, and I'm so thankful I have systems, because if I have a lot of people filling out Google forms, I'm not panicking. I know the steps that are needed to get them through. And so you might find that you're stunting your own growth because there isn't a system in place. And I love how you said that consistency teaches our clients to trust us.
Yeah.
Because people can tell when you don't have a system, when you're scattered and frazzled and you're like, I don't know what to do next. And of course, as a new coach, there's some element of that, but that's where you don't tell them that. You tell me that. You say, Karen, what do I do next? And I got your back. But so I think definitely that's so great that it's there for consistency, clarity, convenience, and cash flow. And I do agree about the cash flow for sure. Having retention with your business, and being stewards not just of how we use our time, but also how we manage our activities, which means how we manage our finances. They all roll in together. All of it requires stewardship. And so I think that it was just well done, Summer.
The following call. So after Summer's class of productivity, Rachel McMichaels is the tech guru of She Works His Way, and she was kind of going through how you should automate things. But one key thing that she said was, if you don't have systems for your current clients, then there's no reason for you to start scaling up and automating. So I think that's really important too. If we don't have systems to take care of the people that have said yes to us, or the people that are going to say yes to us, then we have no business going any further than that, really. You'll just become overwhelmed. And we all know that overwhelm just leads us to exhaustion and burnout.
And for those who don't know, automate doesn't just mean that you manually send a welcome email. It literally means that there's a system where they click something and they get an automatic email. I don't even know how to do that. I've never done that. I've also never felt the need to do that. And that's just a personal thing, I think, for me, where I like to do things manually because I feel like that's how I'm connected to the people in my business. I can see how when you have hundreds of people signing up a month where that could be helpful. But again, to be honest, I'm not looking for 100 people a month.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to stunt your growth. I'm just saying, for me, if I'm going to serve people well, too much is too much. And so you may never get to the point of automating, but that doesn't mean you don't need systems, because systems are not just for automation.
I think one way that you could automate for our business is, the days that we decide to be out of the office and we're on Sabbath and someone needs something from us, then an automatic direct message goes to whoever it is and says, I'm taking a Sabbath today. I just want you to know I received your email or your message or whatever. I will get back to you the next day.
Yes.
So something even as simple as that.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Absolutely. I think that's a really good example of one that isn't too overwhelming. And then especially by the way, were you going to come back to that, to highlight the tasks that you procrastinate?
So essentially just makes you think about, they're probably some of the most important things you need to do. But sometimes when we break them down even more, they're not that painful.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not. So when you can start to either delegate the things that you're really procrastinating because you don't like them, so you can delegate them to someone else to do,
Mm-hmm.
or you figure out a system to make it a little less painful.
Yes. Yes.
Depending on how much impact it has on your business. So if it's something like one of our things is inviting, we're not going to delegate someone to invite
No.
groups ever.
Right.
It has impact. But just because we procrastinate on that doesn't mean that it's not as impactful.
Right. Right. You'll know what your sticking points are. So for newer coaches, I mean, the heart of our business every single day is connecting with new people, adding new people, inviting people, following up with people, and growing our team. So that's the stuff that we're kind of doing behind the scenes each day. It can be phone calls and coffee dates, whatever. So you are going to find that but for me, I knew the things I would actually procrastinate are things that weren't as important, like paying attention to my Beachbody leads, or I don't even know. I'm trying to think of like other things, but it would be helpful to know how to delegate. And by the way, we have a lot of administrative assistants within Team Iron that are phenomenal. So if any of you ever hit that point where it would be helpful to consider somebody, we have some awesome referrals for you. Again, just make sure you're in a season where you can afford it. So don't just do it. But as your business grows, part of it is investing your investments back in your business in a way that helps it run more smoothly, efficiently, and keeps that cash flow going. You know, as a mom, I'm only a mom of one, but if I'm a mom of two or three, as my family grows, I do need to duplicate myself. And so part of that is making sure that you do have systems in place. I always have people that are like, how do you work your business on an hour and a half a day? You're joking, you're lying. And I'm like, there was a time I would probably have been lying. But today, I did it in 45 minutes to an hour. Like I really didn't really go back in. And it's just because there was that flow. And honestly too, like when you start the morning with the Lord before your business, you're clear. You know exactly what you're doing. You're moving with the Spirit. You're working out of that overflow. And so beginning with God has made a huge impact for me this week. But anyway, so that's what we want from you this week. Those 2 call to actions, like don't ignore those. I'm going to ask you about them on Monday. We'll give you till Monday. So you're just going to spend between now and Monday listing out every single task that you do for Beachbody. I don't care how small even if it's like being on Word Swag for like 20 minutes trying to create an image. But do you see that? Like that's important to write down. How long did it take you? What were you doing? And then all the steps within that same task. And then let's look at it. Let's look and see what are the things that are taking way longer than they should. How can you create a system for them so they're not taking so long? And I think that will help reveal just areas where we can either delegate, automate, or batch.
Or things that we're even forgetting that we do. Forget to do. Scripts too. Summer didn't mention that, but that's something that's really helped with emailing or whatever. You have scripts that you have already done. You just have to change a few things to make it a little personalized, but that's a system to create too. So
and a lot of people think scripts are cold. I don't think so. If I send a message, an invitation to somebody for the Made to Crave group in November, and I really like the way that I phrase that invitation, I'm gonna reuse that over and over and over and just change the name and change why I'm reaching out to them, because every person has a different story, but the content I'm gonna keep repeating. I'm not gonna try to do that 1,000 times, right? So
there's no reason to waste time recreating something.
My new coach welcome emails are systemized, they're scripts. My new client welcome emails are systemized, they're scripts. If I send out a free recipe list, it's systemized in a script. So if you're creating free groups, by the way, systems, those are free groups you can reuse. So if you ever do a 5-day free group, write down everything you did for those 5 days so it can be duplicated to your downline if they ever want to run a free group. Recently, I ran a Rise and Shine group, and Brittany was like, do you have a script? And I was like, no, I totally wung that one. It went great, but I did not write that down. And I'm trying to work on creating it for you guys if you want to run a group like that. So I want you to be thinking about your future team. I know some of you are like, I'm not there yet. But I love how Summer said, think as if your business is 10 times bigger than what it is. Let's say you picture your business with having 10 coaches under you and 100 clients under you. What would you need for them? And now build those systems for them. A lot of us say, I don't need to be a leader yet. I don't have a team. I don't need to be a leader yet. I don't have a client. Oh, sister, no. It doesn't work that way. You build it now and they come after. And so
you won't grow if you don't have it.
Right. Right. And I think the more that we build the systems and the foundation, the more excited and passionate and clear and confident we become. Because if I know I have a system, now I'm even more confident inviting to the business. Now I'm even more confident getting people in the Made to Crave group. I know it's going to be on Facebook. I know what book we're reading. I know how we're doing prep. I have answers for their questions, so I'm not shying away. So I think that it would be really good to write down those tasks, like Melissa said, and then also especially pre-scheduling content. I've just seen this as a constant struggle for some people of working smarter, not harder. This business can become very overwhelming very fast if you keep thinking you can wing it. And your wing it period, it's present, but it's short. I'm a wing it person. I really am like a flow by the spirit person, but I've just learned that I get overwhelmed when I do that for too long. So every Sunday night, I think now my administrative assistant will do this for me, but every Sunday night I pre-schedule all my content for my 2 groups, and that's it. That way all week long, all I have to do is actually be there as Karen and not be like all worried about, did I pre-schedule? Did I pre-schedule? So I think that that's just stuff to think about. You know, I think especially Valinda and Tiara, you guys are newer coaches. Don't like underestimate the power of this conversation. Not only is it relevant to your regular career, your motherhood journey, all of that, but you can start building things for your business now. Like it begins all right now. So this was an excellent call. I'm so glad we did it. Any questions from you guys, Tiara or Valinda? Anything that we can help cover? I know it's pretty straightforward, but still. Good? We're good? Thumbs up, thumbs up. I love it. Cool. So Monday I'm going to ask you, and listen, people catching the replay, we're going to ask you too. You're not off the hook either. And then especially if I'm not your upline coach, I would love for your upline coach to look at your systems and just see, because sometimes it's nice to look at things together, not even your upline, just post it in the group, in the team page. That way we can help each other be like, have you ever thought about doing it this way? That could be a lot more efficient, still effective, because I think we run the risk of when we're trying to be too efficient, we become less effective. I see that happen as coaches grow is they get so efficient, they're no longer human to people. And that's why I refuse to work with too many people, because I don't want to get cold. I want us to have the one-on-one calls and one-on-one conversations. So be careful of efficiency leading to ineffectiveness. Valinda, I'll unmute you. Go ahead.
No, I'm trying to be okay. No, I was finding it. I was just trying to. I was going
it's so
back.
hard on the phone.
My question is, because I was just looking at just online organizational systems. Do you guys have any links or pointers just basically for us to go for that? Because I know you just want us to track what we're doing now, but I also like just to look at what's out there right now in terms of starting organizational systems. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just something just to get me started.
So again, in the Team Race to Serve Facebook, you know what, Valinda, I haven't told you this because you haven't. Did you go through the email, the welcome email?
Yes.
You didn't tell me. I know we're talking Saturday, so we'll go through this a little bit more deeply on Saturday. But oh my gosh, why is this taking a million years? So if you click on Team Race to Serve, and this is good for everybody to see because I don't think people remember we have this. But if you're in our team page and you click photos,
okay,
and then you click albums,
okay,
this is our coach training. This is just one of them. We have 2 different ways that you can do it. But one thing here that's really helpful is the tracking one. And in there, I explain Google Streak. So Google Streak is linked to Gmail, and it is probably one of my favorite ways of staying organized. It helps you create buckets. And not only is it great, but it's because it's connected to Gmail, it can link right to your email. So if you want to do bulk emails, this is how you do it with Google Streak. So there's a video on here, and it's a tutorial specific for Beachbody coaches for how to use Google Streak within the Beachbody system. And so what I do is I have different buckets under it. So like one for inviting, one for follow-ups, all of that. So that way I'm keeping track of conversations and what I'm doing. So whenever you have time, I would just check that one out. I use pen and paper for my power hour every day, but I use Google Streak to update every week just to keep, if I'm ever out on the road, I don't have my laptop, I have the Google Streak app. I can keep tabs on who I'm talking to, so I'm not you know, if I can be effective and efficient, you know, on a plane ride, that would be helpful. So that would be an area to look. But I'll talk to you on Saturday and I'll walk you through all of that.
Okay.
Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I got you. I got you. All right, friends, we're going to end the call here. If you have any other specific questions about how to put systems in place, or you have ideas that you want to brainstorm, a lot of system creation might be trial and error. So be okay with that. You might find a system that, like, I love Google Forms. Not everybody does. That's okay. You're going to find a system that flows for you. But you won't know until you try it, at least for like a few weeks before you know if a system is smooth, if it's flowing, or if it's not. So thank you so much, Melissa.
Yeah, of course.
Amazing job. Amazing job. All right, guys, have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.